Hello, beautiful people. I am waiting for Mr. Matt. Hopefully, he'll join us very soon. I hope he doesn't have a bad hangover. So you're just gonna have to put up with me while I'm here. Okay. So, hello, beautiful people. Thank you for joining me. I'm on a wait for Mr. Matt to show up. So, in the meantime, let's talk. I am at the beach. I hope the signal is okay because here it's touch and go. So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, I hope you saw his video on recycling. I found it incredible. So we'll see. Well, it turns out, can somebody please, can some of you please tell me? Kristen Mitchell, thank you very much. Hola, Yamba. Hello, all of you. Can somebody please tell me the name of what's it called, the games of the veterans that Harry plagiarized? You guys remember that? What's the name? Because the Invictus Games is modeled after that. What is it? Warrior Games? Is it something about Warrior Games that they did, that Harry modeled it after it? Hi, Z from Ontario. Hello, 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 beautiful people. It's called the Warrior, something Warriors, right? It's something like that. Warrior Games. Thank you, Angel D. Thank you very much. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, guys. I am so hot. This is the ocean, guys. It's very, very hot. So, well, it turns out that apparently Netflix has decided not to go for the Invictus Games. And the thing is that it wasn't Netflix per se that was producing the show. It was that Harry and Meghan's Archwell is producing it, and Netflix was going to stream it. But apparently that's not the case anymore. That is no longer the case. They're not gonna go ahead with it, which must be a blow for Harry. I mean, would you guys in the United States be interested about the Invictus, the Heart of Invictus from veterans from Europe, produced by Harry? And now I have a video that's gonna drop after the live about, it's a very short video. It's like a 5-minute video about whether or not Harry, now Forbes has come out. Now Forbes has come out saying that Harry and Meghan actually didn't do that well. Wait 1 second, sitting is here. Vení, Goda. Sorry, guys. This is truly, ay, déjala, Marine. Solo por eso vení, salí aquí conmigo. Ahí está. Vení aquí conmigo. Marine, my friend, says that she's shocked anybody would hire Meghan, because what would Meghan do if she's fired or if there's nothing more going on? See? I am in love with her. So Maris, I have a bikini. I'm wearing a bikini. So what's going to happen? Who would hire Meghan? And I said to Marines, well, apparently she seems to think that Hollywood A-listers would hire her, which is absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane that anybody would hire her after everything. And to begin with, I have seen many people come and tell me that Meghan Markle, for some reason, there is, Ragnar. What a cool name, Ragnar Ironspear. I've trained veterans for both Invictus and the Warrior Games in archery. Oh, wow, how cool. How cool. So are you a producer, Ragnar? Are you a producer of anything? Have you been consulted by Archwell, Harry, or anybody for the Heart of Invictus? That would be very interesting to see, So, well, Barbara Grace is saying that Harry has nothing really to do with Invictus anymore. His family had to pick up the pieces when he buggered off with Meghan. That's true also, because I remember that the Royal Foundation, Prince William, donated the money from the settlement that he got from Associated Newspapers. So because Harry didn't bother to do anything, he took off. Harry took off. So it is going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen now to Harry, because he's got all these lawsuits coming on. And my friend Marina, she was telling me, but why is he suing everybody if he doesn't live in the United Kingdom anymore? And I said, well, that's a very good question. Why? When somebody is happy in a new relationship in a new country, everywhere, I'm petting city, okay? So don't go thinking anything. They would be happy. Harry, instead of wasting all these $1 million in frivolous lawsuits, he should be using that money to build his new life. But I mean, for me, that would be it. I mean, I don't understand it. I really don't understand that at all. Because, if he loses all the court cases, which seems very likely, ay, Siri, te hubieras ido al piso, mi amor. Andate al piso, chiquita. It seems very likely, she's so hot, but she doesn't, she can be on the floor, which is cool, but she wants to be here. I mean, if like all the money he's lost in the lawsuits, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Marina, vení. Aquí está la Siri. Vení, niña, sentate aquí conmigo, porque Matt no aparece todavía. Parece que está de goma. ¿Aló? So yeah, it is something. I think Mr. Matt has a hangover, because he's not yet. I sent him a WhatsApp yet. He hasn't read it. So it is something that if he fails, that's 20 million pounds. It's not dollars, beautiful people. It's 20 million pounds that he will lose. It's not something that yeah, it's not something that he will, that's not chunk money. And he's not a billionaire by any stretch of the imagination. And even if he were a billionaire, 20 million bucks hurts anybody, even if you're a billionaire. I know, BB Daddy, I'm waiting for Matt, but I think, it's Sunday. He might have gone out and he might have a hangover. Hopefully he'll, excuse me, he'll come out very soon, very shortly. So it is actually something that I don't understand why he's doing it. And it's so funny. Maybe you're not late. No. Hi, Ams. I'm waiting for Bootneck, Mr. Bootneck. So we'll see. We'll give him a few more minutes. It is something, even if Prince Charles is picking the tab like Anna Perkins said, this is something that still King Charles is notorious for being cheap. Now, I want to answer something that Ragnar Arenspear said. His mother left both sons 30 million each, apparently. No, that's incorrect. Princess Diana had like 17 million pounds or 15 million pounds, I think, from the divorce settlement from Charles when she divorced. And they were placed in trust. It was, I think, total about 30 million pounds, which is not chunk change with all the investment and everything they did. So Harry had about $20 million the mother left them from how the trust was invested, the investments they made from the trust and everything. So yeah. Yeah, Maggie P, me too. But let's face it, Matt is a white. Is it not? Matt is a bloke. He goes out on Saturday nights. I'm sure he enjoyed himself yesterday. So we'll see. So yeah, I mean, he only has like 20 million. Well, not only. Actually, if you go check our live with P. Dinah at Sean Atwood channel, we chat with Ron. You guys like Ron? I'll be doing more lives with Ron, by the way. So you guys, we're going to be doing like 10-minute lives with Ron. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. You guys seem to love him very much, and he's game for it. So, yeah, $20 million is a lot. 20 million pounds is a lot of money. It's about $30 million. Had Harry and Meghan been, I just don't understand why when Harry took off, instead of Janet Smith, I was just going to say Janet Smith. I don't understand why when they took off, instead of focusing on building their life in the United States, why they had to go sue the UK government, trash everybody, lie about everybody, because it is my very humble opinion that everything that comes out of Harry and Meghan's mouth are pure lies. Okay? Ragnar Ironspear. Yeah, I'm waiting for him to, but it's just a few minutes. Hopefully he'll make it. So I'm gonna call him and see. I'm gonna call him here. Let me see if he answers. I'm just calling Matt. If he doesn't answer, he's hungover. Probably getting ready or something. We'll see. But anyways, he's not answering yet. So yeah, I mean, why spend so much money suing everybody, lashing out at everybody? Hi, Arsal. I hope you joined Ron's channel because he loves you. We all love everybody here. I mean, with $1 million, I can spend the rest of my life, living happily. You buy yourself a nice little home. I mean, why do they have to spend so much money on a huge mansion, and it's only them? Marlene Pugh, they're never happy. That's true. That is absolutely true. They're never happy. It is really, really pretty terrible if you think about it. So I was, and my friend is telling me, Marina, because I was telling her what I was doing the live today and blah blah blah. And she goes, but why is he suing everybody? Why is he suing the United Kingdom for security? If it's a billionaire like they claim with this $100 million from Netflix, 18 million, and they don't need much security, why do they need so much security? And I said to Marina as well, I don't know how to answer that. I really don't. Now, apparently, Meghan Markle is calling people A-listers. There's this guy called Matt. No, I want to say Matt Dillon. Is it? Please correct me if it's Matt Dillon. The guy that did his podcast or something, and he's talking about Harry. He was in a party, and with this A-lister, and Meghan kept texting this A-lister to ask to have herself invited to the party they were at, and they were all making fun of her, laughing at her. I mean, that is pretty pathetic. And that the fact that apparently people are saying that she's going around in parties all by herself. And, I know there's a lot of speculation. I've speculated about it, whether they're going to divorce or not. I think Meghan is real. Tim Dillon, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's Tim Dillon. I think that Meghan Markle, it started to dawn on her that she's not loved in the USA, and that unfortunately she needs Harry still. And I think that she is unsure whether or not they will allow her to keep using the royal title. Because to clarify this, Meghan Markle doesn't have a title of her own. I know many of you have said, not many of you particularly, many people have said, oh, they're going to take away her title. She doesn't have a title. And I know a lot of people have said they're going to be racist if they take away her title. Why would they be racist to take away something that she doesn't have and something that she clearly loathes? Because as she said, she wants to be linked, not ranked, while being the Duchess of Sussex and and to be the mother of a prince and princess. To me, that was a huge mistake that Buckingham Palace ratified that by changing that on their website. Because you see, the children, if there is any Archie, the children that Archie has will be entitled to have the prince and princess title when King Charles dies. Because they're born from a male heir. Although, yeah, that has been changed now. It's now from so yeah. Yeah, unless, of course, that is stopped. So it is going to be very interesting, that dynamic, how that's going to work. Whether Meghan Markle and Harry's children will be allowed to do that. And apparently, there are talks of them coming out. And you're going to start seeing the narrative change. Please. And I've seen some articles already saying that Harry is trying, the lawyers at Buckingham Palace are trying to work out a way on how to bring Harry back. The lawyers are working on the divorce. Harry brainwashed. Ask yourselves, why haven't they been removed from the royal website? I'm going to ask you guys that. This is a serious question. Why haven't they been removed from the royal website? And I want to see at least one answer here. Okay? Tell me, why haven't they been removed from the royal website? You know, they're still there. You can Google it here. I mean, I will Google it here. Let me see. All you have to do is go to Royal UK. Here, I'm at royal.uk. You see the king. And then the royal diary. And you have all these things, right? Coronation day. You get to that, the coronation quiche. So much coronation crap here. I mean, okay, I'm going to go to the royal family. Okay, in the royal family, right, the role of the royal family here, right? And you have the king, Camilla, the Prince of Wales, the Princess of Wales, the Duke of Edinburgh, the Duchess of Edinburgh, the Princess Royal, the Duke of Gloucester, the Duchess of Gloucester, the Duke of Kent, Princess Alexandra, and guess who's there? And you scroll a little bit further down, guess who's there? Why? Why are they still there? And I know what many sugars are going to come out. I mean, and even some other people that are not sugars. Well, they're related to the royal family and they're in the line of succession. The Duke, there's many. Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie are not included there. And they're actually further up the line of succession than Prince Edward and than the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. That is the truth. They're not included there because Najla, hello, Najla, how are you? Yes, Andrew's still there too. Here, Prince Andrew, right here, Najla. Here we go. So I don't know what to tell you. So is it because they're still hoping somebody pointed out that they want them back? Probably, because otherwise they would have taken them off the royal website, which is a website for working royals only. And that website gives Harry and Meghan prestige, and it keeps the world at bay on not judging Harry too harshly. Because if they remove him from the royal website, that would be like completely cutting ties with him and feeding him to the wolves, because the world would finally get the message that he is indeed no longer royal. There is no way back. Although it is just a website. He can be added back on. He can be added back on. He can be added back on. I mean, it's not anything, like to delete them is just delete button, or you can put it hide only for our eyes only, and whenever they want to put them back on, they just put them back on. You can hide their profiles from their page if you don't, but that's not what they're doing. So there are real talk, guys, that indeed they're coming back. Yeah. Barbara Grace is saying they were not invited to the royal Jordanian wedding. Beatrice, Cow, and the Middletons were there. That tells you something. Yeah, but Beatrice did not go representing the royal family. Apparently, Beatrice and her husband are very good friends with the groom. So that's why they were invited. They did not go representing the crown at all. So yes, Cynthia, yeah, hi. We're still waiting for Mr. Matt here. I don't know if he's gonna show up because I think he had a very fun Saturday night. So he will have to make it up to me somehow. But we're still waiting for him. I hope he's okay. So yeah, I mean, why? The Invictus Foundation, I think it was called, were rescued by the Royal Foundation when Harry failed to provide the funds for them, because funds were transferred from the Royal Foundation to Sussex Royal. Do you guys all remember that? You guys remember that? To this day, we don't know what happened to those funds, because the charity foundation, the part that it's the government that and the UK failed to investigate further. They only said that the transfer of funds from the Royal Foundation to Sussex Royal was legal. Nobody was ever disputing that. Nobody was ever disputing that the transfer of the funds. And I hate this sophistry. It really bothers me when they do things and they only point out what is right, but they don't go any further. Because people, by thinking, oh, if the Royal Foundation transferred the funds legally, then everything is okay. No. It's what happened afterwards that makes it illegal or there are issues with. Okay? Because according to the charity laws in the United Kingdom, you can only transfer funds when you donate money to a charity or an organization for a specific purpose. You can only use those funds for that purpose. And if you don't, you have to seriously justify why that happened. So, and no, he's not in England. He's in California. But so when the Royal Foundation transferred the funds to the Sussex Royal for the Invictus and whatever, right? That was legal. The illegal part is if the foundation or the charity organization who receives those funds does not use those funds for the purpose assigned, they're breaking the law. That's illegal. And from what we saw, the most that the charity organization or the charity governing body in the UK said that that there were some issues there, and that they used too much money and shutting down the what do you call? They didn't do a very good job at accounting for the funds, and they spent too much money shutting down the Sussex Royal thing. So, but they didn't go further than that. And then we have the $3 million that supposedly Meghan Markle was donated to Sussex Royal. Remember that, guys? From Meghan's shoddy work at narrating the elephants, to the point that now Natalie Portman had to do another one, and it's actually very successful and it's very beautiful. I highly recommend that you watch it. So yeah, it is pretty terrible. And then Disney later on donated $3 million, but like months later donated the $3 million because the Elephant Foundation thanked Disney. They didn't thank Harry and Meghan Markle. They thanked Disney. They didn't even say thanks to the Duchess of Sussex, because thanks to her work, Disney, we got the $3 million donation. Nothing like that. And I urge you to go check out that how do you say that statement that they posted thanking everybody. So look what Deborah R says. Harry's fragile, so the RF don't want to hurt his feelings, so they keep him on their website. I don't think Harry's fragile. I don't think Harry's fragile at all. I just think that they don't want to, that they're used to not hurting his ego and all kinds of stuff like that. But it's not it's not he's not a fragile man. Oh, Matt is alive and he's coming on. Let me see something. It might have been my mistake. Let me see. Because I said I'm in California. Oh, guys, Matt, I owe you an apology. I worked it out differently. He said 10 a.m. California time. For some reason, I thought it was 1 hour behind. This is not 1 hour ahead of me, which is why I planned at 9 a.m. thinking it was 10 a.m. right there. So this is not Matt's fault. I'm going to send him a thing. Matt, I'm absolutely apologizing live right now because I screwed up the time, not you. Deep apologies to Matt. Holy shit, I am very sorry. Yes, I'm still on here. You know, I like to talk. So come on when you're ready. Oh my God, I am such an idiot. For some reason, why did I think California was 1 hour ahead? I think it was Texas time that I confused it with. Let me see, Texas time. You know, I sound like a bimbo. Yes, I confused it with Texas time. I am an idiot. Ah, I could have eaten breakfast. So it's not Matt's fault. He's not hungover. Well, we're going to find out if he's hungover or not. But he's actually being responsible. It's my fault because I confused California time with Texas time. I am saying that I apologize to Matt profusely. Let me see something. I'm gonna walk you guys here. Let me see. I don't know if you guys want to see the ocean. This is my friend's house. I'm not a millionaire because I know what many of you are gonna say. Why are you asking for donations for this school if you're a millionaire? If I had this house, I would not. This is Maria Ines's house, my friend. I am very lucky that you know that things are working out. I just wanted to show you this a little bit. I'm gonna turn the laptop around so you can see it a little bit here. Isn't this gorgeous, guys? I am so lucky, you know, that my friend that my friend has a beach house. Because you know, otherwise I'd be in a tent somewhere. But I love it. I love it here. The weather is absolutely sunny. And here we go. Here. I'm gonna show you. I hope you're still online. See, I don't want to go too far from the house because the Wi-Fi. You know, so I'm not envious of her. I'm glad. I'm happy that she has the house because then I get to use. So I'm gonna go back to the ranch over there because you see that's where I'm sitting there, guys. That's where I'm sitting doing my live with you. It's hot as hell. Pretty soon I'm gonna go take a dip in the ocean because I'm dying. You know, I did get used to Norwegian weather a little bit, you know, and in Canada it's very cold in wintertime, clearly, because right now it's hot as hell also in Canada. So I just wanted to show you where I'm at, guys, while we wait for Matt. I'm gonna sit down again. Woo! And I apologize for Mr. Matt to Mr. Matt. Absolutely, Abby H. You know, actually, today when I went walking with City, this American lady was really angry. She's an anthropologist because she's been trying to get her family to come here. And if you guys come here, Maria Inés rents her home, and she can get you a good discount. You know, I'm sorry I'm tying my hair up, but I'm just so hot, guys. Um, Joyce Kuttner, very hot in Canada now. I know that. I know that. But it's you know, Marines is asking me all these questions, and I'm like, and she's absolutely baffled by it all. She's like, but why is he suing? See, you too, come over. Nicaragua is super safe as long as you don't get involved in political matters, as long as you don't talk against the government. And yes, you're okay. You know. Oh shit! I haven't even sent you the link. Let me see, Matt. I'll send it to you again, Matt. Oh, thank you, Matt. I'll send you the link right away. StreamYard. I'm gonna send you the link right now, Matt. I've sent you the link, Matt. I hope you got it. So even the UK is getting 28 degrees right now here, and this is a rainy season. Here's Mr. Matt. Matt, I want to publicly apologize because I am a moron. I thought California, for some reason I was thinking Texas, and it's Texas is 1 hour ahead.
Yeah, I thought we
I am so sorry. I even thought you were hungover, which is justifiable.
I thought we figured out last time we're going off California time moving forward. I wasn't even up. I was in bed just about to go out and get up and go for a run when I saw my WhatsApp and went, huh? And you hadn't sent me a link. Anyway, it's all good because I wasn't drinking last night. It's a good job I wasn't drinking last night, or I definitely wouldn't be here.
Thanks so much, Matt. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry about that. I am such an idiot. I really confused it, with everything.
It's all right. As long as you don't mind unkempt, unwashed, no brushed teeth, Bootneck. It's fine. It's fine.
No, don't worry about it.
How are you? It looks lovely there.
Yeah, my friend's house. I am so lucky. I've been coming here since I was a child, and I'm lucky that she has this house because the house is gorgeous, Matt. Look. This is just the apartment. Then she has that mansion over there. I can go there because she has the pool there.
Posh. You've got posh friends, haven't you?
Oh, yes, I'm so lucky. I love my posh friends.
All my friends are back in Middlesbrough. I think 2 of them live in wheelie bins. Yeah. I don't think I've got any posh friends. No. I think I'm the posh one. I'm the posh one. I don't share a room with 10 homeless men, so I'm the posh one.
You're welcome to come here anytime. It's right at the ocean. It's right at the ocean,
really?
And she has they built this apartment complex, which is 4 apartments next to the home because the home they rent. Now they rent, but even the apartments are posh. So I'm very lucky, and then they have the house right now. It's not rented, so we can all go into the pool and stuff like that. But it's right by the ocean. It's nice. A bit when you have a tidal wave.
Oh yeah. So is this in Nicaragua?
Yes, it's in Nicaragua.
Nice.
You see a bunch of Americans walking by. They love it here, and there's a lot of Americans living in this town called San Juan del Sur. You've Matthew McConaughey used to hang out here. Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yeah, shirtless, of course. He loved this bar called El Timón. I'm sure he did some weed, but so you would see him all the time surfing because this is a major surfing area. So
nice one.
Yeah. Listen, I saw your video about the plastic recycling thing.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Eye-opening.
I've always joked about that because I crunched the numbers years ago when I was talking about the Green Lobby, because I remember reading a piece in The Guardian where all these woke hippies, The Guardian, the worst newspaper, the worst. Like I was, if I was like bored in a bathroom and I wanted something to read while sat on the toilet and I had to choose between The Guardian and the back of a tube of toothpaste, I would rather read the toothpaste. There is nothing good about The Guardian, but the piece was about how much emissions all the different foods cause. And that was another sort of a bleak angle to look at the carbon thing with, because I remember seeing Jordan Peterson getting berated by this big fat communist on an Australian TV program. And she was having a go at him saying, I read about you and you've got this beef diet. And you said you only eat like a bit of green vegetables and beef. And that's terrible for the environment. And she was berating him. And she was like 400 pounds and had cake crumbs down the front of her shirt. And she said, yeah, you eat too much meat. And I was thinking, think of this logically. Because, I always go at the logical angle. If you're really skinny like Jordan Peterson and you only eat 1,500 calories a day and it's beef, but you're a big fat vegan that eats 6,000 calories worth of avocados and almonds every day. Logically, I was think about it. It takes a lot of water. They say it wastes water to eat meat. Mm-hmm. It takes I know for a fact it takes about 40 gallons of water for a a serving of almonds, or it takes like 60 gallons of water for a serving of avocados. So if you just eat beef and nothing else, but you're slim and you only have like a couple of hundred calories, 1,000 calories a day of beef, you use far less emissions in water and carbon than a big fatty who just eats whatever, almonds and avocados all day. And it's the exact same with recycling. The initial thought is, I'm helping the world, so I'm a good person. But when you think about it for more than 5 seconds, you go, yeah, but that doesn't really make sense. So yeah, the fact is, if you think you're helping the world, what you're actually doing is making them drive trucks hundreds of miles to gather it all up, and then making them sail ships thousands of miles to get it transported to the third world. And then when it gets to Malaysia or India, they either throw all your recycling in the ocean or they set it all on fire. So I don't even know how much more damaging that is than just burying it in a landfill. But common sense says it's very, very bad for the world.
No, and you know, I was thinking, and this is going to sound horrible because my cousin, she's married to actually the owner of the company who makes plastic bags and all kinds of things. And I even said to her, Carolina, you know, your husband thought about maybe giving that up the way things are going with the environment? Because you know what the amazing thing is, that he's like a Buddhist who Hare Krishna, that he believes that you can't step on an ant, like he doesn't eat meat. Now he's starting to drink a little bit of alcohol. I will tell you in a second. And the funny thing is, and they are preaching the environment, but you know, your husband is the owner of the company that makes plastic. Yeah.
It's always the same. The ones who get all passionate and aggressive about it are always doing it because they've got pricked by a guilty conscience. Always. I've made this point loads of times. I've definitely got a smaller carbon footprint than every climate activist. Guaranteed. Me and my missus, we walk everywhere. When I was living in York, I'll tell you how many miles I did on my car, because I remember I bought it with 66,000 miles on the clock, and when I sold it, it had 73. So I didn't even do like 10,000 miles in about 4-year period. I walk everywhere. I take loads of public transport. I eat sparingly. And yet these people lecture me, and they're all middle-class arseholes who get a new iPhone every year and drive everywhere and refuse to get a bus because they don't want to sit next to poor people.
Yeah, people make fun that I still have the same phone. And I'm like, well, it works. First of all, I'm not very techy.
Yeah, exactly.
It works. Why would I change this? You know how long it took me to learn how to use this phone, Matt?
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding. I still struggle. You know, I'm still learning. I go on YouTube and I look functions. You know, there's this guy on TikTok, and I go, oh my God, I didn't know I could do that on this phone. And I've had it like for 6 or 7 years, and people make fun of me. And I'm like, why would I change it?
Yeah, no, it's all the ones who whinge about it, you know, for a fact it's because they're being pricked by a guilty conscience. Or it's like I said to you about Phillip Schofield, the ones who talk the loudest about virtue are the most immoral. Like, everybody knows this. If a man calls himself a feminist and he constantly goes on about it all the time, he's going to be far more immoral than a bloke like me who is occasionally a bit sexist because he was brought up in the 80s. It's just like, whoa, she's got a canny set of baps on her. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a flippant comment. But the ones who take the time to go, I'm a male feminist ally, they've probably got women chained up in a sex dungeon in the cellar. Like, these people are the worst, and I refuse to allow them to talk down to me. I don't care what the issue is. Anybody who virtue signals loudly is probably a predator or a sexual deviant. Or if they're on about the climate, just take 20 private jet flights a year. I mean, have you noticed that? It's always the ones like Prince Harry who have a pop about the climate. Prince Harry's carbon footprint is literally 500,000 times mine. How many times has he been on a private jet?
That we know of.
That we know of. Hundreds. I've never ever been on a private jet.
Let's be realistic here, because we are only informed of the trips that we know of, because I'm pretty sure that this guy's wanking around everywhere on a private plane.
Yeah, of course he is. And that's what I'm saying. Think about it. I said that in a video. Meghan Markle's carbon footprint is the equivalent of 500,000 plumbers. what I mean by that is, a plumber probably goes on holiday once a year to Spain and he flies coach and he crams
And we
his
save a
entire
lot of money.
family.
We work really hard to get that thing. It's not nobody's giving us private airplanes to, fuck around everywhere. Nobody.
Yeah.
I wish they would, but that's not happening. So.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? When we go on holiday once a year to Spain and we cram 500 other people on a plane and fly coach, so your carbon footprint's small, really. Yeah, you're flying, but you pick a destination and everybody on the plane's going to the same place. So 500 years on one cargo, it's not that bad. Private jets up in the air for me again, Marty arse, and she gets on and goes where she wants. She does that 20, 30, 40, 50 times a year. A carbon footprint is thousands of times higher than the average person, and they lecture them. It's as I've said here, in the future, it's going to be John Kerry, he takes 500 flights a year, and Meghan Markle lecturing people, telling them, don't fly, don't take your family on holiday once a year. That's selfish, taking your family on holiday once a year. Don't eat steak, that's selfish, you've got to eat cricket paste. And they're going to be tweeting about this on the private jets while they're eating fillet steak. That's where we're headed. The elites doing what they want, being the most staggering hypocrites, and us having to suck it. It appalls me.
It's actually, I was thinking about that because, I am sick and tired. And I actually left a comment on your thing. If plastic is supposed to last 100 years, why do people throw it away after 3 or 4?
I know.
Keep it for 100 years, pass it down to generations, like you have at least 2 generations there, it's no, I'm serious. If it lasts, they say that plastic lasts 100 years, then pass it down to your kids.
Yeah. Well, you know what you've reminded me of there? We've never talked religion. Are you religious?
I'm a Catholic, but I know that Catholic pedophiles and stuff. I know that happens. I'm not a fanatic. I do hear the end of both sides. Both sides of the corner. We're all human. We're flawed. So things are about to get crappy. You know what I mean? So you're not going to offend me, Matt. This is really a woke-free zone. So please go for it. Knock this about.
Well, like I said, I'm not militant. Again, I evolved. I'm a reasonable chap in my middle age. When I was in my 20s, I was like one of those chippy militant atheists. Now I'm sort of like an agnostic with a soft spot for the Church of England because I had such a good childhood and I liked the carol services. And I remember we used to do hymn practice every Friday. So I'm agnostic. I don't really believe, but I'm definitely not a militant atheist. I've got no time for that. But I do remember my mate, because you're on about plastic getting handed down. My mate John said to me, if Jesus was really a carpenter, surely loads of people would have his chairs and his tables, his cabinets. Because if you bought a cabinet off him and then he got resurrected from the dead, you'd surely pass it on to your kids and go, hey, make sure you keep that cabinet because that God bloke made that cabinet.
No, so, it is true. It is true, but it's really interesting. I don't get offended. I like talking. You know this. We talk about things. I don't mind, I actually did a live yesterday with Sean and Pete Dine and stuff like that and Royal Daily Tea. And people were angry at me when I'm pointing out that we're trashing Andrew for being friends with Weinstein, right?
Yeah.
Epstein and Weinstein, right?
Epstein, yeah.
And
probably both of them.
Both of them were attended Beatrice's 18th birthday party along with Ghislaine Maxwell. The pictures are there. Prince Charles at the time invited Epstein to Prince William's 21st birthday. But can you imagine if we were to, and I said this, can you imagine if now we discover that Andrew was friends with Savile, Peter Ball, and Phillip Schofield? Can you imagine the furor?
Yeah.
That guy would not be able to leave anywhere because Phillip Schofield, up until less than a week ago, was the ambassador for the Prince's Trust.
Yeah. Well, think about, I told you, I'm like you, I which was why it's fine. Civilized, normal, reasonable, centrist people like us argue and debate about things we disagree on all the time because we're not children. And I told you, one that I was willing to get shit for was actually, in a way, not defending him because obviously I don't like Prince Andrew, but I was saying, there is a massive difference between being a dirty bastard. He's a dirty old man, but he's not raping little kids. I was like, there's a huge difference between a dirty old man shagging like a 16. She was legal age as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, she was.
Shagging someone of legal age and like a guy raping kids. And I wasn't sticking up for him. I was saying, prosecute him if he's broke the law. But there should always be a pecking order in crime when you're a logical person, just as there should be a difference between like manslaughter and murder. And all I was saying was, it's not logical to treat him the same way as you treat someone like fucking Jeffrey Dahmer or, Moira Hindley or something. That's all I said. And people lose their minds because nobody thinks about things carefully.
No, that's the thing that gets to me. And the only thing that they have to come back with is to insult you. They don't come back and say, listen, this has happened and this is what I believe. And I'm like, oh, cool. Tell me more. No. Oh, you old cow. Why are you attacking this? You hate. And no, first of all, I don't hate Meghan Markle nor Harry, but I don't like what they're doing using the royal titles.
I do. I told you, I'm like a jilted lover because I made my mind up rationally. I liked Meghan Markle. I wasn't like, I'm not as much of a celebrity watcher as you. So all I knew about it was she rocked up in England, whatever it was, 9 years ago when I first seen her. And I was like, oh, she's quite pretty and she seems nice. And it'll be good to get some new blood in the royal family. And oh, yeah, nice one. It was only after all the stories came out, I told you after Wimbledon, really, that she sprang to my attention.
Really? Was it Wimbledon that really put you off?
Yeah, because I'm not mega into, the royals or celebrity watching. It was like, I was just going off what I'd read in the paper or hear on the radio. And then it wasn't until the story started coming out about her being a bitch that I was like, whoa, maybe she's a narcissist, like an actor, like she's a liar and she's just putting on a fake face. And I was like, oh yeah, she doesn't seem very nice at all. And then after Wimbledon, when all the nice old ladies, the working class old women who I do trust, started saying, oh yeah, it's the first time I've ever seen the policeman look embarrassed, turning us away and saying, oh, the royals don't want you in anymore. And it was all Meghan. And all the stories coming out where they're all saying, oh yeah, she's an absolute bitch. And then the final nail in the coffin, I was already teetering on the edge, like, whoa, maybe I was conned, maybe she's a bitch. And then the stories came out where she started playing the race card saying, oh yeah, the British public have always hated me. So I hate her because I'm like a spurned lover. Like a spurned lover hates someone more than someone who's just, got a fleeting interaction with somebody. I'm like a spurned lover because I liked her. And then when she started playing the race card and saying, you've always hated me, everyone's against me, wah, I went from love to hatred. And that is always more of a visceral reaction, isn't it? Going from fully loving to someone to absolutely hating someone is way more hateful than when you just don't like someone from the get-go. So I do hate her. I took it personally.
I'm going to tell you something very interesting. Today I was out in the ocean. I actually did it. I'm going to put it. This American lady who claims to be an anthropologist walked by, right? And then she really loved the house. And I said, well, my friend is renting it. I can show it to you because her brothers are going to come for spend 2 weeks. And I said, you can come here. And, Marinez was asleep. So I said, I'm going to show it to her. Oh, this and that. And then she said, because she saw me doing the video because I'm at the beach doing it. And I said, well, I do some YouTube videos and stuff. What do you do them on? I told her about the royal family. And then she goes, oh, you know what they've done to Meghan Markle? The royal family are white. And by definition, they're racist. They're the definition of racism. And I'm like, I said, excuse me? I said, well, the royal family, this is an American lady. She said clearly, and she's an anthropologist. And I said, are you aware that the queen is descendant from Queen Charlotte, prior to that, Queen Philippa, who were both black? And she goes, they must have hated them. And I've said, no, actually, Queen Charlotte, if you go in the States, you have Charlottesville. There's towns in North and South Carolina from this lady. Kew Gardens was built by Queen Charlotte, right? And I said, and they even have it in New York. This lady was so loved. And she goes, well, UK people go by the one drop rule. And I'm like, excuse me, but people in the United States use the one drop rule that if you have one drop of blood, you're black. And I'm like, and she was like, oh,
they import their own ridiculous politics into them.
But that's actually quite terrible, Matt, to say that just because they're white and royal family of the UK, in its nature, the bloodline is racist. What do you think of that? I was actually taken aback.
It's just hateful, isn't it? It's just hateful. Like anybody, I don't like the term reverse racism because there's no need to use it. It's just racism. It's hateful. If you just don't like someone because of what they look like, Just use the dictionary definition. And this is why they always have to disappear down a rabbit hole of inventing more new words, because they started saying, didn't they, it's impossible for people of color, I don't like that one either, to be racist. It's impossible because racism equals power plus privilege. Just invented it, pulled it out of their ass. I was like, that's not a thing. That's not what it is. All it is the Oxford Dictionary definition. It's hatred of someone based off the race. So there's no need to add any new. And then when they started saying that, they had to invent the term colorism. Because obviously...
What term is that? Sorry?
Colorism. Have you never heard that one before?
What is that? Just in case some of my viewers don't know too.
So basically, because they invent shit, they invented this nonsense and said it's impossible for people of color to be racist. It's impossible because racism is power plus privilege. So therefore we can't be racist. And then 6 months down the line, a story comes out where you've got obviously a gang of Chinese people or a gang of Pakistani people or a gang of anything having a pop at someone for being black. And then they go, oh shit, we've already said it's impossible for people of color to be racist. So therefore they're not doing racism, they're doing colorism. And they say colorism is when you're one of these bollocks little groups they've invented, but you're being prejudiced. So then they invented the term colorism. So according to their insane, illogical, nonsense buzzword, if a black man's racist towards a white person or an Asian person or whatever, that's not racist because they can't be. It's just gobbledygook. So this is what I'm saying. They have to invent more words, and then you disappear down a rabbit hole and you have to keep inventing them because they're trying to rewrite the English language. So they said it's impossible for black people to be racist, and then you get a video of a load of black people kicking the shit out of some Asian kid, and they go, that's colorism. It's not, it's racism. If you hate somebody because of the race, it's racist. It doesn't matter whether it's a Bill Cosby doing it to a white woman or a bunch of white kids doing it to a black kid. It's just racism. You don't need to mess with the English language, do you? Just use the one that we've already got. It's already there.
Don't invent water. You don't need to invent water again. We know what that is.
You need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, they reinvent the wheel. Thank you. Here we call we have a saying: do not invent what cold water is. You already know that you can cool water. This is saying in Spanish. It doesn't make sense there. But I was talking to my girlfriend, my Inez, and I was talking to her because it just so happened the news here in Nicaragua, we were watching it, and they're talking about the court cases that Harry's going to next week in the UK. Well, the US government is being taken to court by the Heritage Foundation. And Marinés is saying, my friend Marinés, she goes, why is this? Did this guy leave the UK? And I said, yeah. Why is he so unhappy? Why is he so in the United Kingdom? Why doesn't he use his money to build his life in the US if he hates? And I said, you know what, Marinés? If you can answer that question, you would have the whole mess sorted out because nobody understands that.
I do. I've got a good reason, a logical reason for why they do it.
What's that?
It's because victimhood is addictive. It's very addictive. If you can claim to be a victim, then nothing's ever your fault. I totally understand why it's very, very seductive and everybody wants to do it because it's fantastic. If I try something and it goes wrong, I can blame it on something else if I can tick a victim box. And it's very good for your ego, isn't it? Because it's hard for a man to face the mirror and say, I messed up. If you do something bad, that's what you do. That's why if you cheat on your wife, you'll always look for reasons to excuse it. You'll say, it's because of this.
Or you blame your wife.
Or you blame somebody else. You say, it's because she sucked. Yeah, she wasn't sleeping with me, so I shagged her sister. It's perfectly reasonable, right? That's what people do. But so it's totally human nature. And that's why they do what they do. That's why the social justice, the woke narrative is so seductive to people, because anybody who's weak-minded doesn't have the mental stamina to face the mirror and say, that was my fault. So Harry, he's had a life of not just privilege, literally the most privileged human on the planet.
Yes.
If there's 8 billion humans now, he's in the most privileged 500. So it's seductive for him to still be able, after all of that, to blame all of his failings on some form of system, some form of prejudice. It's not my fault. So he's addicted to victimhood. And he's now going to go into the courtroom against all of the advice of people cleverer than him and claim to be a victim when the general public is sitting there
going.
going,
Going to do understand? This guy is going to be. What do you think? I mean, do you think he's going to be good on the stand? Please,
I think he thinks because he's privileged, as more than anyone else in human history, he thinks that he's going to be able to get treated there the same as he has done by everybody else. Like a barrister grilling him in a court is going to be the same as Oprah Winfrey and asking him softball questions while his wife sits next to him. That's a good
point. I hadn't thought about that.
With a dress covered in bird shit, sat next to him getting softball questions off Oprah. And the fact of the matter is, it's a whole new kettle of fish when you're talking about a private company sticking up for itself to avoid spending a lot of money. And if the barrister is remotely capable and does his job as he's paid to do and grills him, he will fall apart like a wet rich tea finger. That might be lost on some of your viewers. A rich tea finger is like the thinnest biscuit you can dip in your tea. You've got about half a second before it crumbles. You just have to go, and he'll crumble like a rich tea finger. He will crumble. I can't believe he's stupid enough to do it. But again, A, he's not very clever, and B, he's staggeringly privileged, so he probably thinks, I'll be all right.
But why won't his lawyers stop him from going on the stand? Can they stop him? Because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. All he has to do is give a statement, and that's it. Because he can submit a written statement, and the lawyers can work on that, with that.
I think they'll crucify him, me. I think he'll get absolutely butchered.
I have to talk to you about Phillip Schofield. Do you know what's happening with this guy? I'm sure you do.
Okay, I've made 2 videos about old scoffs.
I mean, I want to ask you something because as usually when these people get caught, they go, oh my God, I did not know that was a crime. All I did was give the poor lad a job. And, it just then we hooked and it was thing. And I didn't know there was nothing wrong, If I were his wife, I would be pissed, number one. Because she could have gotten AIDS because God knows what this guy has been doing.
That is a very good point. I never thought of that.
Oh, you know what? It is terrible because he was leading a double life. And I'm pretty sure he was not wearing condoms.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I never thought of that.
Oh, I have a big fight here in Nicaragua because I do know I have some married friends that are gay and their wives don't know about it. And I run into them at the gay bars, and because I have gay friends, so I go with my gay friends to the bars, and I see these guys, and I'm like, oh, what is he doing here?
Yeah, that is a really good point.
Crazy girl, and I'm like, what?
Now you mention it, we have discussed that. Me and my missus have talked. She's a rational, reasonable missus, and she said to me, like, it's the reason men and women are different is because women don't find it as big of a deal if a man cheats with like a one-off with a prostitute, because women don't like it when it's the emotional attachment that's getting dealt with. She said to a woman, it's far more concerning if you find out if you find out your husband's in love with another woman. It's like horrifying. But if you find out that he just got drunk and shagged some stripper at a stag party, it's not as big of a deal because that emotional thing's not there. She said, but the real issue is when you're a woman, you think it's not that if he's not like emotionally attached to these people, but you do get worried about sexually transmitted diseases. And compared to straight men, gay men are absolute sex pests, aren't they? Like, they are renowned for it. You've just reminded me, last week I was in Utah and I was horrified at all of the pro-LGBTQ unending propaganda everywhere we went. Flags everywhere, signs everywhere. And we were on the train and I looked up and I had to Google the term because I didn't know what it meant. And it said, if you are engaging in chem play, you should do these safe things. Have you heard of this? So I Googled it because they're all deviants. I don't even know what the term meant. And they call it, because the perverts rename everything with newspeak to make it sound nice. Chem play is going to an orgy, doing loads of drugs, and then having unprotected sex with like dozens of men. And I was like, that's not play. That's like full-blown degeneracy. And this is what they do. And I was like, Christ almighty. So if you were a straight woman and you found out that your husband of 30 years was going to like gay discos, I would be like, the first thing I'd do is go to the clinic and get my entire my entire reproductive system replaced. I don't know if it's possible to get a clitorisidectomy. I don't know, replace it with somebody else's, but that's what I do. I dig me granny up to get them to cut out her entire reproductive system and try and like graft one onto me. Because the idea that your husband's been going to gay nightclubs for 30 years and then coming over.
No, but it is terrible. Actually, there is a case here that happened. They've been married for 47 years. He's a very well-known guy here. Their kids are, grown up. He's very wealthy. And the reason why he had to come out was because the wife has tested HIV positive. And I can tell you this lady has never cheated on him. And I've always been saying this to my friends that I know are doing both things, right? And I said, You should really give the woman and tell her, listen, I am also doing this. Protect yourself, because here in Latin America, at least in Nicaragua, the culture is they don't wear condoms, right? And I said, you have to, tell her. And he goes, well, if I tell her, then the deal, then I won't be able to be with her. And I'm like, but that's not fair for her, because you're really playing Russian roulette with this woman's life. Once you catch AIDS, it's not like, it's not like gonorrhea or anything like that. This stays with you and you can die from it.
This is why, despite our reputation for being poor lovers, Englishmen, they all say on the continent, the French and the Italians, they say Englishmen are funny, but they drink too much, so they're bad in bed. But the one plus point with us is we're a bit more logical and a bit less passionate. And I always thought it wasn't really a big deal wearing a condom, because I thought when I was a young lad, I was like, it makes you last longer, because it's a little bit less sensitive. I just think that's better. I'll give a slightly better performance when I'm in the sack.
No, but that's pretty unsafe.
It's not a cultural thing here to not use a condom. But I mean, like I said, it's criminal. It's criminal, really, for a bloke to do that to his wife. And then, as I said about the whole thing, that was inarguable, is that if he was a straight man cheating on his wife with a teenager that he groomed, he would have been instantly lambasted and probably criminally charged. And that is just a demonstrable fact. In the video I made last week where he was claiming all of the criticism he was getting was purely a result of homophobia, I debunked that entirely, because I pointed at numerous issues where people have been criminally prosecuted for what he did. It's the exact opposite of homo. It's homo privilege. If there was a case of a grown man, and he was only in his 30s, grooming a kid and running off with her when she was 15, 16. And he got jailed for like 9 years or something. Like, if you groom a child and then shag them when they're of age, they will prosecute you for that, because they know what you're doing. You know what I mean?
But he's claiming, have you seen him now that he's now turning it? He's got very good PR, because even this guy who did the Meghan Markle thing from BBC, what's it called? This guy that's from Hindu descent. What's it called? The name of I'm terrible with names.
Which guy? The guy from what?
He did interview Phillip Schofield. I want to say,
just like Indian bloke who interviewed him for the BBC.
Yeah, the same one who did the Meghan Markle thing, trashing the royal family. He interviewed him just now, and he was like, "Oh, poor Schofield." Look at but you know what? This is gonna drive me insane, because this guy also got a lot of flack from Schofield interview.
Mm-hmm. It's not the one who went to America, is it? That bloody the Indian bloke.
Yes, that's the guy.
Yeah, okay, right. I thought that was a different geezer.
What's his name? Do you know the name?
The one you're thinking.
Amal Rajan.
The one I always get him confused with is the one who moved over here. Have you seen the one who moved to the United States? And he started with India. He started in England. He moved over here, and he's at Mahdi Hassan. He's called, the one I always think of. But yeah, I know you're on about. Yeah. But
he did that, and Phillip Schofield. If it weren't for my daughters, you wouldn't see me sitting here. All we did, I gave him a job at 15, and nothing happened. And
textbook grooming.
But why is the BBC and everybody else saying, leave this poor man alone?
Yeah, like I said, the whole story, I read it out when I did the video, was just making excuses for him. which is why I joked about it on the video. I read it out and there was so many simpering sentences that are like, oh, poor old Philip. He looks so tired and withdrawn sitting in front of me, blah, blah, blah. By the end of it, I was like, Philip, I'll tell you, my heart bleeds. You can come and fold me over the kitchen table, right? It's so ludicrous that they painted him to be the victim after all that he's done. Like I've said, I'm not even joking about it. Prince Andrew, who everybody hates, didn't do anything as bad as that.
No.
Prince Andrew just turned up with a bird who was legally old enough and was just paid basically like a prosy.
10,000 pounds.
Worst case scenario.
And she bragged about it. She was happy about it. She was bragging to her friends about it.
So all he did was shag a young prostitute. He didn't groom her. He didn't spend years grooming her when she was a child. That's what Philip Schofield did. If he was a straight man, he'd be in prison. The BBC wouldn't have done a softball interview. They wouldn't have said, oh my God, look how haggard the groomer is. Look how tired the sex offender is. They would have just not talked about it at all, not give him a softball interview and then sent him to prison. You get jailed for it. There's dozens of stories you can point at where heterosexual male adults get sent to prison for grooming. And they could even only be in the 30s, which again, I'm not making excuses for nonsense, but as I've said here, there is a scale. And objectively, it's not as big of a deal if a 29-year-old shagging a 15-year-old girl as than a 59-year-old, is it? Because it is. Some young men are very, very immature. You can see why an immature 20.
An example right now because it's all over the news, Matt.
Go on then.
And before I say it, keep in mind that I love this man as an actor. I think I love his movies as an actor. Al Pacino, 82 years of age, just had a kid with a 29-year-old woman.
I know. It's shocking.
Okay, I know she's 29. I know she's of legal age, but just as easy as she could be 29, she could be 18. We're looking at that, But if you look at it, I think Al Pacino was like 50-something when she was born.
Shocking, isn't it?
Nobody is batting an eye. Everybody's congratulating Al Pacino.
This is what I'm saying, though, about I always make
Leonardo DiCaprio. I adore Leonardo DiCaprio. As soon as you turn 25, you're gone.
They're just degenerate perverts. It doesn't happen in the real world. And their whole argument, these degenerate perverts, is, oh no, it's only just because you're not rich and famous and you can't get younger women. I guarantee tons of ordinary men could. I know I could. I'm not unattractive or lacking in confidence and I've got money. I could definitely, if I wanted to be a twat, bin my missus and go out with an 18-year-old, but I'm not going to because I'm not a twat. These people are just scum. And I don't love them again because I'm not into celebrities. I think all of them. Basically, I'm the most cynical man in the world, and I think the reason people get into
you're probably like Ricky Gervais.
The reason they get into acting is because they're bad people. Like most of them, the majority of them, they're like paedophile priests. Being a priest, you don't put the frock on and all of a sudden you go, whoa, I'm a paedophile. The reason they do the job is because it gives them access to children in a position of trust. Paedophiles choose to be priests. Actors choose to, most of them are scum. Ricky Gervais was taking the piss out of Leonardo DiCaprio, wasn't he? He said that film was so long, by the end of it, Leonardo DiCaprio's date was too old for him.
I know, but he laughed, thankfully, They're
absolute deviants. And there is no way that isn't just detestable behavior. Just because she's a legal age doesn't mean it's not morally repugnant. You're taking advantage of the fact she wants your money, so you're sort of ruining her life because young women are stupid. Young people are stupid. I'm not being misogynistic there. Young people are stupid, and they think money is. All young people are stupid. I was stupid when I was in my 20s, and young people think money is more important than anything else. But when you get older, you realize that it isn't, and that's why it's immoral, because they're doing it for money. But a 29-year-old woman should have been cultivating a proper, loving, dignified, equal relationship with someone she genuinely loves. And then she'll have a nice long marriage and a happy family and nice grandkids and everything. And
you mean the one with Al Pacino?
Yeah.
No, I got news for you. She only dates old men. Before that, she was with one of the Rolling Stones, and then she
rich men. Well, because she wants money.
I mean really old. She hasn't had a young boyfriend. She's an educated woman. She has a master's and something like that. I mean, but she dates men 70 above.
All right. Well, I guarantee you, if she met, but she won't because they've got more options. If she met a handsome 26-year-old with $500 million, she would happily shag the bloke. There is no way that she's got some form of mental issue that makes 70-year-old men more attractive than 25-year-old men. She's just a gold digger. She's obsessed with money because she's a young woman, and some young women are obsessed with money. But old men take advantage of the fact. I mean, do you think do you think Anna Nicole Smith should have married that old billionaire?
Clearly not.
She was doing it for money. And young people think money makes the world go around, and it doesn't. And this is what I keep saying. It's why people like you and I say what's on our minds and don't care and hang the consequences, because there's more to life than money. It's what I told you about my political opinions. The elites, because they're all scum, think all anybody cares about is money. And I knew they were going to lose the Brexit vote because all they talked about was money. You'll have less money, you'll have less money. Or if Trump wins, you'll have less money, or you'll have less money. Normal people who are in the past the 30s and actually understand the world know there's more to life than money. There is more to life. I have more money than I know what to do with. I've got money in the bank, and I haven't spent it on cars, and I haven't spent it on clothes, and I haven't spent it on jewelry. I buy stocks and stuff, and I leave it there because I don't need it. I go to the gym and I wear t-shirts and I like drinking Stella. I don't want champagne. I don't want jewelry. I don't want cabriolets, because there's more to life than that. I like cultivating my relationships with my missus and my friends and my family, and that's all that matters to me. And when you get older, you learn that. So just because these people in the 20s are idiots and think money makes the world go around doesn't mean it's a moral thing to do. It's older, wiser people taking advantage of stupid young people. So it's immoral. I don't care if it's legal.
I know, but that's the whole point I'm getting at. I wonder why Prince Andrew got so much flack for that, because she was dating, he supposedly, because it hasn't been proven yet, did this woman of legal age. But they're saying that the difference is because she was trafficked and she didn't know what she was doing, right? So, but I don't get it, because clearly she was bragging about it. Then the person that apparently Andrew didn't know what was happening with her. And clearly Virginia Giuffre now has been shown to be a liar. And not only that, she was able to go on a paid holiday, meet her new husband, and take off and say goodbye.
Yeah. Like I said, it makes you very skeptical, doesn't it? Because like I said, money makes the world go around when you're a young person. And when they're of that age, I mean, when you're 16 as well, you're at that age where you think you know everything. So it's not about the fact that like I said to you, it's why there's degrees in criminality, and everyone who's normal and has a fully functioning brain knows this. There's first, second, third degree murder. There is degrees. So as I said, to me, shagging a 16-year-old hooker who happily took the money isn't even in the same ballpark as grooming a 12-year-old, which is what Schofield did.
He was 12?
12 when he first met him.
No, I thought he was 15. That's what they've all been saying.
Apparently, there was a photo on Twitter when with a photograph of Schofield with the kid of the theatre group when he was 12. So it's textbook grooming. He spent years. He thought, I can't bum a 12-year-old. I'll go straight to Belmarsh for that. So he spent years grooming him. And the second he thought he could get away with it without getting nicked, he was up there like a rat up a drain pipe. So that's what happened there.
But all I've seen in the newspaper is that he was 15.
Well, I seen a photo on Twitter and he was a little kid. He's definitely younger than 15. Definitely.
That is terrible.
Just by looking at the photo, he's not 15. I remember what it was like being 15. I was a hairy, spotty little twat when I was 15. This kid looks about 12 in the pictures.
That is awful. That is awful, Matt. I mean, well, somebody's saying that they're going to televise Prince Harry's testifying in court. Remember when they did that? I mean, do you think they will? I will watch that for sure. If they tell, do you think it's going to be televised?
I don't think they will, because Britain isn't quite as salacious as the United States, and we've never done that.
But they televised the one where
all
Meghan Markle thing. They televised the one with Meghan Markle thing. They had the lawyers come out in that circuit. You could actually watch the entire trial.
Was that in the UK or in the US?
No, in the UK. Remember when Meghan Markle? Yeah, the Associated Newspapers. That was televised. You can actually log on to the courts. They have their own YouTube channel, and it was televised live.
Maybe I'm biased because I'm British, but I just always feel like we're slightly less stupid and deranged when it comes to these bloody court cases. It's a rarity where they put live stream the court cases in England.
Oh, but it was the whole thing.
Yeah, well, we're obviously as daft as our American cousins at this point then, because I think that's, Johnny Cochran. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit. I can't believe, I don't think we should follow the Americans down that rabbit hole of putting everything on bloody TV. But maybe it will do then. He's famous enough, isn't he?
I just can't believe he's going to testify, Matt. I mean,
Isabella there, look, yeah. So he met the boy when he was 10. It's getting younger. By the end of this conversation, they met him when he either pushed his stroller around the park and then got him to wank him off behind the bus station.
No, but I think I'm shocked because, I don't know if the newspapers are so biased towards him because, he's a gay man, but I don't understand why they're not focusing more on the duplicity that he did to his wife, the position he's placed his wife and children in by doing what he did. Now they are protecting him. Why are they not focusing on all of that? I think he has great PR.
It's not even that though. Think about it, right? All of this is totally in line with everything we've been saying for years. Certainly me, because I'm more into the political side of it than the celebrity side with you. But I've been saying this for 3 years. It's a simple political issue. It's not even about the fame and the celebrity. It's a political issue, like everything. Essentially, because the 60s and the 70s saw deep-rooted racism by the state, and it was legally mandated, there was a massive redressing of power in the 80s and the 90s. And then, like all pendulums, it sprung too far the other way. And everybody who pays attention knows now it is a demonstrable fact that if you are in one of these minority groups, you are privileged staggeringly. And just because it was wrong back then when it was happening to black people, and it's wrong now when it's happening to straight white men. And it is political. It's not even because he's famous. Mizzy, that little twat who went viral last week.
Which one? Oh, yeah, the guy who breaks into people's homes or something like that.
If he was a white kid from Leeds, he'd be in jail already. It's if you're gay, black, follower of the religion of peace, if you can tick any of the boxes that the state has now been convinced by the activists is in a marginalized group, you get treated with kid gloves, and the people know it. So it's not even the fact that he's famous. He could just be I guarantee there's random gay blokes out there now who have been grooming and shagging little kids. And just like the grooming gang scandal in the UK, you heard about that, right? Hundreds of thousands of children getting tortured and raped by swarthy foreign men, and it got ignored.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. That's pretty terrible.
They weren't rich and famous.
No.
It's not even linked to the fact that he's got good PR and he's famous. It's because he ticks a box on the identity hierarchy. If you're gay, have a bit of a tan, or follow the desert god, you don't get in the shit for it. They let you get away with it. It's not my opinion. It's a proven fact. The British government and the Met Police and the College of Policing and the very, very top of the Home Office themselves told them, do not prosecute these Pakistani men who are torturing and raping children. Don't do it because it will make people racist. It's not even linked to the fame. It's politics. If you can tick a box, you get away with it. Mizzy got away with it. Schofield got away with it. It's not even about that. It's about politics.
Yeah. There's a guy that I also do lives. I like him very much. His name is Ron. And he had a YouTube channel exposing all these pedos, And his channel got taken down because he exposed people for real.
Of course it did. You know what he should do? He should rebrand.
He's already doing that. He's doing that right now.
Put a wig on and call himself Rhonda and wear lipstick and go, all right, lads, I'm
Ron,
Rhonda.
if you're watching this is really funny. Just claim that you're gay.
Yeah,
wear
I'm
a wig,
Rhonda. I'm
identify
trans.
as a woman and say that you're doing that. Probably that'll work,
Like that with a fag and a this is Rhonda's pedo hunting team. I'm your host, Rhonda, in a wig and pink lipstick. He'll be untouchable.
Yeah, he would be untouchable.
I joked about it, didn't you? Did you ever see the artwork I drew about it? I did an artwork, and I was going to read because I got banned like for my 5th time or something.
I know.
And I drew some artwork about it, and I called my channel "The Tolerant Liberal Bootneck." And it was a picture of me with like a gay pride flag, holding hands with like a paratrooper dressed as a gimp with like a dildo in his hand, and we were like cavorting through a meadow. Because the idea, I'm satirizing that whole thing. Like, if I had a channel called The Big Gay Bootneck, and I often did it with my boyfriend, right, I could get away with saying 10 times more than I could, because if you tick a box, you can get away with it. If I was black. There's a reason why that KSI guy's as famous as he is. It's because black people can still say controversial things on YouTube. White people can't.
But I actually posted because this guy from the Daily Wire did this very good movie asking about what is a woman. So he went to all these woke liberals. Did you see that one?
Seen it,
yeah. Daily Wire, yeah. And they were offended. He was asking that questions. Professors, what is a woman? And then this guy, I think this guy summed it up in Las Vegas. If you have a dick, you're not a chick.
Yeah. So
and apparently the mayor of Vegas or whatever came into his shop dressed as a woman, because apparently he's a trans woman or whatever he calls himself, trashing the poor old man who's like 78 or something, because he has that sign outside that says, if you have a dick, you're not a chick.
What I didn't like about it, and I got criticised. I get criticised by my viewers all the time because, like I said, I like to be a logic guy, and I do comedy, and I just take the piss out of anything that I find funny. So sometimes I alienate my own viewers. I did that when I stuck up for Shammy Beggs. So I was basically, remember Shemima Bagoo?
Oh yeah,
everyone was like, I stuck up for her. I was like,
what's happened with she? They said no. I haven't heard anything about their child. Wasn't she waiting for a trial or something like that?
Yeah, the public's so against her that I don't think she's going to get a trial. I just think they're going to leave her there. And what I'm saying is, I'll say stuff that's unpopular with my own viewers. And the one thing I'd say about that is, I didn't enjoy watching it because some of them are genuinely nice people that have just been totally misled. And I think that about a lot of these young kids who are doing the mastectomies and all this stuff, like Ellen Page and all of these people.
Oh yeah.
They're victims. And I know it's easy now that we're in this culture war to just pick your side and just go in and do it as hard as the woke do it. But they're detestable people. Like, I genuinely think they are awful, awful people. So I try not to go down the same rabbit holes as them. So I don't just do the polar opposite or whatever they say. And it sometimes pisses my own viewers off, but it's just logical, so I'll say it. And those people are victims. Like with Richard Dawkins when he's attacking the priest, saying you shouldn't take it out on the flock. Well, I feel that about the trans lot, the woke lot. Like, there's high priests of wokeism that promote the agenda and promote this. But if you're just a young kid who's like swallowed it all, and you get a double mastectomy when you're 17, and then you become a hardcore trans activist when you're 19, the poor little bastards are victims. Like, I genuinely feel sorry for them. So the reason I watched that documentary, and I obviously agree with Matt Walsh's conclusions, but I didn't like the sort of the lengthy interview with the first woman on there, the brown hair.
The one that short hair one.
Yeah, because I just felt sorry for her. It was like, to me, it was like telling a Down syndrome kid there's no Santa Claus. You know what I mean? It's like, you're just crushing the dreams. And I was like, it made me uncomfortable.
She should know better, Matt.
I know, but I'm saying
this woman is in a position of teaching others. She should know better. You know what I mean?
A lot of them are young as well. She's only in her early mid-20s, maybe early 30s. I don't even know, but I felt so sorry for a lot of them. I just feel like these are nice people who got misled. We failed them. When I see a 17-year-old who's a full-blown activist, a woke activist, I don't hate them like I hate the ones like who write for The Guardian, the ones in the positions of power the Laurie Pennies and the Owen Joneses and the BBC.
Matt, just to make a pause here, RBH is asking, is that the one? Did she identify as a woman? The first one, the one that you're
No, she didn't. No,
she's non-binary or binary. I don't even know the terms. There are so many of them, huh?
But I do. The young ones, I pity them. I feel like we've failed them. We failed them. We older people have failed them. It's our fault. Like somebody, I'll tell you why it breaks my heart, right? Because someone started messaging me on Facebook when they seen my channel, and I think this kid got a crush on me because I looked at his page. He started messaging me.
It's a male or a female?
A male. I think he's a male. You never know.
Magnet. Well,
But
so a non-binary who identifies.
You never know in this day and age. But this kid started following me. He's a teenager. I think he's just man. And he was like, "Oh, I love your channel and all this." And he said he was depressed and struggling. So occasionally, when I could be asked and I had the time, I'd message him and say, "Yeah." I'll reply to him, and say, "I hope everything's doing well. Whatever you think's important now. You're only a kid. Like, just focus on eating well and doing exercise and getting your mental health in the right space." Like trying to help the kid out. And I looked at his page and you could see he's like idolizing all these like military men. It seemed like he follows a couple of them on YouTube and stuff, like older military guys. And we failed them. Like I see some of the people arguing with Matt Walsh. I was on Matt Walsh's Twitter the other day and there was a kid having a go at him. And I clicked on their profile. And the profile reminded me 100% of this kid who was messaging me. It was like a teenager who all the posts about is like, I can't sleep. I've got massive anxiety. I take all these drugs. I worry about everything all the time. I'm non-binary. And I just think we failed these people. It's our fault. I don't even
know what non-binary mean. What is that? I mean.
Well, it's bollocks, isn't it? You and I know it's bollocks.
But I mean, but what is it? What is the textbook thing? I mean, is there even a definition for that?
Well, I believe it's when they say that they feel as if they have traits that are associated with both genders, and they don't. You mean
like the seahorse, like a little seahorse, which doesn't have a sex and it can impregnate itself? Is that it?
Well, no, because we're more complicated than seahorses, and we can't do any of that. They just feel like they have the traits of both, so they don't want to pick. And again, me and you and I, because we're older, would say it's just total bollocks. And they're just inventing shit like they do with their inventing words. I.e., if you're a girl that's a little bit of a tomboy, my missus, this is again why I've told you why it's so immoral. It's so immoral what we're doing. We're failing these kids. My missus is a tomboy. She never wears makeup. She said she loved playing with the boys' toys when she was a kid. She loved playing football and climbing trees. She's just a tomboy. It's a girl with a few mannish traits. But now, if you feel like that, they tell these kids, "Oh, you're both genders. You're not a girl. You're a polyamorous, genderqueer." Just invent a load. Non-binary means that you don't feel wholly male or female. Nobody does. Nobody does. All right, except me. I'm the most manly man in the world. My missus says I'm a barbarian. You can tell I was raised entirely by a single father.
Oh my God.
But most men have slightly feminine traits and most women have slightly male traits. It doesn't mean you're a bloody non-binary, does it? I think
when I was a kid, I used to play basketball, football. We have something called kickball here, volleyball. I didn't like playing with dolls. I hated it. And my mom used to buy me dolls all the time. And I'm like, why the hell are you buying me Barbie dolls? I don't want them. I want a football.
Well, sorry, Paula. I have to inform you, you're actually a genderqueer, non-binary polyam, and you should saw your nipples off. Yeah, sorry. I hate to drop that on you, but this is what I'm saying. It's lunacy. Sparkmeister having a pop at me there. You realise I am talking about society in general, right? Obviously, the parents that are fit are blamed more than anyone.
Yes.
But I'm saying, as a generation.
But wait a minute, Matt. If that girl must be in their 24s or something like that, which means her parents are our age. So I don't think her parents our age are teaching that shit. Because I can tell you, my kid, he doesn't learn that from me, because if your parents she's 20 something, she must be at least in her late 20s, early 30s, the one that you're feeling sorry for, which means her parents are our age or even old. Well, my age at least.
But I'm saying they're all their parents are like, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and they've failed their children. They've failed a generation of kids. We've allowed them to get indoctrinated in schools. We failed them. We should have been up at that school the first second we got a sniff of an insane teacher saying to an 8-year-old, You know what? You can choose to suck your granddad's cock. That's normal, right? As soon as we heard anything like that, we should have been banging on the gates. And you've seen this because have you noticed how there's very, very few in England? The one group that can get away with it because they're on that pyramid is the followers of the regulars at Alan's snack bar, I call them. I have to allude to it because if you say the M word, you get banned on YouTube.
What
The M words, there's Jews and there's Christians and then there's another one and it starts with M. I just don't name them because if you name them, you get punished. Those guys can get away with it. In England, there's a massive community of them and they had a fucking riot outside of school because they were teaching the kids polyamorous, genderqueer, sex education shit. And 1,000 of them turned up outside the school and within an hour, the school said, yep, we're not doing that anymore. So this is what I'm saying about us being pathetic. We're weak and we allow it. We allow them to indoctrinate our children. They don't allow it. And you never see, what are you having a beer? Tequila, hardcore. You never see them coming out as polyamorous, genderqueer, cut off my nipples and call me Frank. You never see that in their community. If you see like a devout regular at their church, again, I keep avoiding the word. If you see these devout ones in Yorkshire in England, their kids are always very, very masculine. If they have a son, he's called Mohammed and he wears jeans and a shirt and he does not think he's polyamorous, genderqueer. It's us allowing our kids to get indoctrinated. So, well, all right, parents, if you want to, Queenie Morris and the rest want to distill it down to just the parents. But you know what I'm saying? As a whole, collectively, it's the last 2 or 3 generations of people that have just been weak and allowed them to brainwash the kids in schools and in colleges and universities because there's the evidence. It seems to never happen in these very devout religious communities. It doesn't happen. You never ever see 2 very devout, the woman in the burqa and the husband in the traditional dress. You never see them walking around the streets with the son and he's confused about what he is. And he's like, oh, I'm actually a polyamorous genderqueer. That never happens because they don't put up with it. They do not stand for it. We do. We just let them do whatever. We give them free reign in the schools and all of our kids are mentally ill, genderqueer but non-binary. So it's our fault. We allow it. We're cowardly. George Orwell wrote about it. George Orwell said in his book, The English, he was specifically having a go at us, saying we're just tepid and weak and we just allow them to get away with murder. And we do. Because you don't see it in Pakistan. How many Pakistani kids are walking around going, oh, I'm a non-binary genderqueer?
No, you don't. Or any other. Actually, you don't hear Orientals either, or you don't see that here in Nicaragua, at least not Nicaragua. You don't see that in Latin America. It's like, keep that to yourself, mate,
Everything they say is irrational. This is what I'm saying. Think of this one. They keep saying, oh, yeah, if you don't allow them to have agency and if you don't allow them to have representation, they all kill themselves, right? That's what they keep saying, don't they? All the time, every day, loud and proud. That's what they say. When they made that terrible Eternals TV show where everybody's sucking each other off and the men are all, wanking each other and the birds are all lessers. And they were like, oh, imagine how many lives we're going to save. Oh, we're going to save so many lives because we put the representation out there so the kids just feel loved and they don't commit suicide. I can't believe not more people haven't made this point. I've never seen anybody say it on the BBC. If that's true, if that self-evidently wrong shit is true, why is it that in the 50s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, when gay people lived a more underground lifestyle and they used to hide it, what were the suicide rates then? What were they? We've got them represented everywhere because, oh yeah, we're going to save so many lives. The depression rates are through the roof. The suicide rates are through the roof. The self-harm's through the roof. Everybody's a pill-popping, drug-addled sex pest who wants to kill themselves.
I really do believe that the pharmaceutical companies are pushing this depression thing because it makes them money in first world countries. Because here in Nicaragua, when you have a very poor country and, the kids in my school, I mean, the only clothes they have are the uniforms they get at the school and some clothes that I managed to get. And the meals that they eat are the one at the school. Other than that, they sleep on the streets or whatever, I can tell you that they don't have time for depression because after they finish school, they go sell tortillas on the streets or they go sell fruits out,
busy.
Yeah.
It's bollocks. It's got nothing to do with what they're telling us. Oh, it's the representation. It isn't. It isn't. The proof is in the statistics, the numbers, the suicide, the depression, the self-harm, the pill popping. This is all bollocks. And this is what I keep telling everybody when I'm always ranting about the BBC and all of that. The people that are in charge want you to be ill. They want you to be fat, ill, depressed, lonely. Because when you're all of those things, you do as you're told. When you're like me and you're healthy and you go to the gym and you're happy and you're stoic, they tell you something and you go, yeah, but are you lying to me? Are you full of shit? I'm going to look into this. When you're lost and lonely and depressed and isolated, you need something to fill the void. So you say, tell me what to do, master. And you do as you're told. And it's the point I keep making. It's indisputable. And that last point I was saying about the suicide and self-harm statistics from the last 100 years proving it 100%. That is the proof of what I'm saying. The people who run the world want you to be miserable. They want you to be fat, depressed, addicted, and unhappy. The psychopaths. And basically, as a general rule of thumb, if someone in a position of power or the BBC or a big corporation tells you to do something, you should do the fucking opposite. That's basically it. That's the best advice I can give you.
But did you see this? I don't know if you heard about, you know who Jamie Foxx is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Apparently, it's the COVID vaccine that got him there. But this is where
don't start talking about that on here. They will kill your channel faster.
Apparently, something happened to Jamie Foxx as a result of something else, and they don't want to make it public, which is pretty bad.
Yeah, honest, I got banned. We're not
gonna talk about that.
I got banned for even bringing that up. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna do my Patreon because I'm gonna go on Patreon. We're gonna do lives on Patreon, Max, because here we have to watch everything we say. But I was gonna ask you something. What do you think is gonna happen next week with the Heritage Foundation taking the U.S. government to court? Do you think that document will ever see the light of day?
Probably not, because the powerful run the world and they decide what goes on. So I don't think you get anywhere with it.
You think so?
Everything's a stitch up in America. In America, they like to make out as if, the rule of law. Oh, yeah, in America, did Trump not prove anything? Everything's bent over here. The CIA is bent. The FBI is bent. The Ninth Circuit's bent. The judiciary's bent. The Supreme
scandal
Court's
that's happening with the FBI. Did you see how Biden fell down? At this point, that's
it's elder abuse. Funny. It's elder abuse, isn't it?
It's elder abuse. No, I'm serious.
He's fell down more times than me after a stag do in York. Like, when you have to drink a bottle of gin as a dare. I can't believe how often he's on his ass. He's just never on his feet. He's fell over about 12 times, hasn't he? To carry on making him at 80 years old, flying all around the world, going to all his engagements when he just constantly ends up on his ass is cruelty to the elder community. We should all feel guilty about it. I can't believe they're making him work.
It's incredible how he fell down. But, I think the tide is turning because now they're going after Hunter. And I think people don't want Harry in the U.S. And Harry's not an American. So there's no loyalty there for him. I have that feeling that because he's not an American and he's talked shit and things are turning around a little bit. The FBI thing, I think that it might come out. But you don't think so, right?
No, you've always been more optimistic than me. I'm the most cynical man ever. I just don't see it. There's different rules for them. They can do what they want. If I was caught lying on my immigration paperwork, they'd strip me of my citizenship and deport me to Mexico, even though I'm not from there. I'd be like, I don't speak Spanish. Like, shut up and get in the truck.
You're going there anyways.
Yeah, I'd end up walking around. I'd be walking around bloody Mexico City going, habla usted inglés to people trying to get home. There's one rule for them and there's one rule for us. So I don't think anything will come of it.
No, but I really do think they're going to, I have a feeling, I really do, because I heard that Netflix has dropped part of Invictus, which is, I don't even see the point of that, because I know that the US has their own the Warrior Games or something, that show, which is the veterans. That's the one that Harry copied the thing from, right?
Yeah.
So part of Invictus is following European people, and it's the Invictus Foundation that the military, your military, or you were part of the UK military, has disassociated from.
Yeah, right, okay.
So now the Netflix, it said that they have agreed not to stream it because Harry is producing it through Archwell. But now Netflix apparently is not going to stream it. I mean, so I do see that the tide is turning a lot on them. But we're going to find out. It's on June 6th at the same time that he's in the UK.
All right. Okay. Well,
He's not
hopefully.
going to be in the US. While the US is being taken to court, he's going to be in the UK testifying against the newspapers.
Right. Well, here's hoping. I hope the little twat gets the book through at him. But I'm not hopeful. I'm not as optimistic as you, Paula. I never have been. I'm the angry bootneck. It's in the title. I'm always in a bad mood.
But I do think, because it's just so there's just so many things that this guy can do. I mean, if he loses all the court cases in the UK, and if we go by that, the fact that he lost the right to pay for the police, that's one down. It cost the UK people £300,000 just to tell him no.
Yeah.
So if he loses that, that's a very good indication that the other things might not come out as okay. And his star witness is this crooked PI who apparently, I don't know, the guy that they're saying that he's sworn his statement, he's come out publicly and said I never signed that. I mean, that's pretty much tampering or with evidence or creating manufacturing evidence, because you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. As I said, though, the issue you've got is the endemic corruption of the justice system. It's been proven that both here in the States and across the pond, that the judges and the activist lawyers, and because of this capturing of the political, I mean, it's very simple. Again, it always goes back to politics, right? They stitched it up so that when you're going through an elite institution, you get indoctrinated, right? And then because all the people in these positions of authority have all, by definition, got a university education, it's like you have to have one. So the people that are all in these positions of power have all been indoctrinated to be sort of woke ideologues. Anybody involved in the legal system in the United States or in the UK at the top, the barristers, the judges, they've been to like Harvard, Yale, Cambridge, Oxford, and they've been turned into creatures of this powerful establishment. So everybody involved with it on both sides of it works for the people that are in power. So I just can't see us ever getting a good result from our days in court.
I'm going to go with Anna Perkins. The guy that is Harry's star witness, he was actually sitting next to him when he came to a surprise visit to the UK, was this convicted hacker. That is his star witness. And this is the same guy who produced the evidence that this other guy signed something digitally online, which a guy says, I never did that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you and Anna Perkins, but what I'm saying is you're still missing the point I'm getting at. It's irrelevant what argument they put forward, because it's all a stitch up. I'll give you a good example. You know Blackadder? Have you ever seen the British comedy show Blackadder?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny with Rowan Atkinson. And there's a really funny one where he gets in trouble because he eats the Colonel's pigeon, and it's a capital offence if you eat a pigeon, carry a pigeon. Yeah. So he's going to get murdered. He's going to get firing squad death. And he goes, it'll be all right. I've got the world's best lawyer, so-and-so, the lawyer from England. He goes, oh, yeah. Isn't he famous from the case with the bloody knife? And he goes, yeah, it's the case of the bloody knife. The police arrived on the scene. He was standing over the bloody corpse, holding the knife, covered in blood, saying, it was me. I killed the bastards. And then what happened? Oh, yeah. Not only did he get cleared of all charges, the victim's family had to pay for his dry cleaning. Right, that's the joke, the case of the bloody knife. So this is what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So to me, it's irrelevant that the witness could be, it's the case of the bloody knife. The witness could be an idiot. It could be, if Prince Harry kicked that door in while we're talking on this stream, hit me over the head, and then proceeded to Roger me over my kitchen table on a live stream, he still would get away with it. And I'd have to pay for his dry cleaning, get the jizz stains off his trousers. That is what would happen. So I don't think it's relevant talking about the authorities or who's involved or who the witnesses are. And I've lost you there, Paula.
Apologies for that, Matt. It's just that the systems went down here at the beach. I apologize for that. I apologize.
Oh, there you are.
Yes, apologies. It's just that the systems went down all over the place. Not even in my phone. I was trying to get it on the mobile. Apologies for that.
We thought you'd been whacked by the powers that be there.
No. It's at the beach, you know, and the signal is pretty poor, even the phone. But
I thought
you're
the
right.
YouTube sniper had took you out.
No, but it's actually pretty. You believe that even if Harry walks in right now, and he
Has his way with
over,
me. Yeah, if he walked in right now, tasered me, and then bummed me senseless on the kitchen floor, there is no way that he'd get off with it. They don't care. They don't care.
But Princess Anne was found guilty in a court of law. Do you know that Princess Anne is the only royal with a criminal record?
Yeah, because a dog bit someone, right? Isn't that why?
Yeah. But she's still, she was found guilty. Why would Harry be different?
Well, because they're wise, aren't they? They pick something like that as the little crumbs to give you. So if it's something where it's ridiculously minor and no one's going to get in any real trouble for it, and no one's really culpable for it. Nobody thinks Princess Anne's a bad person because the dog bit someone. You can't help what the dog does. They'll give you the crumbs, but when it comes to the crunch, when it really, really matters, of course they won't. He's a good example. Even Nixon got caught red-handed. He never got in the shit, did he? He just quit his job. It's like there's no criminal charges against people in power. There never is.
But I just think that Prince Harry has done too many things too publicly. I really do. Had he done one off here, and done what Prince Andrew did, which is he went away from public view, I would get that. But this guy, it's in our faces all bloody time.
I hope you're right.
That are not right. I think he's done I really do believe if he'd done one or two, okay, I get it. So what but he's compounding it and compounding it and compounding everything, Even Meghan Markle has stayed out of the limelight for a bit. Have you seen her? She stayed out of the limelight?
Mercifully, I haven't seen the wizened old husk very often lately, no. Yeah.
But Harry's not. It's like Harry's in this mission. It's like, no, but you caught me lying, but let me tell you, no, this is the way. I really do. And this is not me being positive. It's just that first, he's not American. He might get away with it in the UK. But even in the UK, people are fed up because there's serious hardship in the UK, Matt.
Oh, the people have definitely turned against him. 100%. The general public's got. Look at the polls. If you go poll in the UK, I reckon he's at about 20% popularity or something. 80% of people think he's a twat. Because it unifies even across politics, doesn't it? Because basically it's like everything else. The only people who like him are the woke, which is about 10-15% of the population. The old left hate him because they hate the royals. The hardcore Republicans hate him because they hate the royals. The class warriors hate him because he's rich and privileged. And then all the old monarchists and conservatives hate him because he's woke. So, his popularity is in the toilet. Nobody likes him. The only people who like him are the woke because they're deranged and delusional and they're all being consumed by this ideology. So his popularity is completely in the doldrums. But as I said, to me, I'm just way more cynical, and I don't think any of it will make a blind bit of difference. But hopefully, I'm wrong.
Well, if he loses the court case with the newspapers, because I am pretty sure that the solicitor is not going to ask him softball questions. I am pretty sure once he says, are they allowed to say, I'm not going to answer that once he sits on the stand, or is he compelled to answer the question? Because, in the United States, you can take the fifth.
Yeah, I think in England we've got a similar thing, haven't we? It's just called something else. Because you have the right to remain silent, don't you? Because when they give you the Riot Act in England,
that's in the United States, you have a right to remain silent.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying in the United States, it's based off an old, it's a really old law, isn't it? I know a lot of this stuff about the legal shit because I read so much crime fiction. The reason it's called, the rights are a certain way in America is because way back in the day, there was a really famous case where they arrested some guy and they didn't tell him he had the right to remain silent.
The Miranda, they're called the Miranda.
And he was called Mr. Miranda, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. And the Miranda. That's why it's the Miranda.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is in England, because we have the law is the same in England and America. It's all based off English common law, and it's the same in England. They don't Mirandize you because we didn't have the famous case of Mr. Miranda not getting rid of his rights, but they do say to you, I must inform you that you can watch. I've seen loads of people get arrested on YouTube. They always tell you the same. I must.
You don't see much of the British system, so I don't know if he chooses, but he's choosing to put himself on the stand.
Well, I'm not a legal expert. We'd have to ask Viva Fry, but I know for a fact when you get arrested in England, they say more or less the same spiel because it's all based off common law. And they definitely say to you, I must inform you that it may harm your defence if you do not speak to give evidence against yourself or something. They give you a similar statement as the Mirandizing in England. So I would assume with an English common law system, you can also refuse to incriminate yourself. So, yeah. That's what I'd assume.
That's for criminal cases. This is a civil case.
Yeah, well, when it's a civil case, right, there's probably no legal requirement for him to speak either because it's a civil case. So if he wants to shut his mouth, he can do. It'll just look bad for him.
Yeah, but once he's already on the stand, my question is, once he's on the stand and he's not liking where the things are going, can he say, you know what? I decided not to speak anymore. Does he have that right? Can he say, screw this?
One would assume so.
Does he think that this is like an Anderson Cooper interview or
softball interview?
From Bradby, interview?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I would assume that it's because it's a civil case, he would have the right, but it'll just look bad. A civil case, you'll be able to. It's not like if you're up for manslaughter, you're a serial killer and they've got you chained up and you have to answer the questions. I'm assuming he can, whenever he wants, go, you know what, I'm done with this and leave. So he probably can. It'll just look bad for him, won't it?
I don't know. I mean, I thought you might know because because I know that under fair legal practices, if he chooses to give testimony for his own defense when he's not obliged to do so, then the other side has also to have the right to have answers. And I know that the UK have very common sense law, not as much as, I'm going to plead the fifth. In the United States, if you plead the fifth, you plead the fifth for everything. You can't just say, I'm going to answer these questions, but I'm not going to answer these. Once you answer one question, you can't plead the fifth anymore, from what I understand.
Yeah. As I said, I'm of the opinion that as a civil court, you can do whatever you want, basically, because it's not a legal thing. He'll be able to do what he wants, but it'll look bad for his defense. But as I said, my argument is that I think he could get a chimpanzee doing his defense and they'll still stitch it up for him. I think he could bring a monkey in a suit and he'd still win because I'm very, very cynical, but we'll see. Yeah.
Apparently Savella agrees with you, but I would argue that he will have to, if he puts himself in that situation, which to me it's insane, but he's doing it.
I know, it is.
I don't know if it's his ego or whatever, as you say, that he's entitled, or he feels like you do, that no matter what he does or says, no matter if he comes into your room, knocks her over the head and Rogers you on the counter. I don't know if he feels that way, and this is why he's doing all these lawsuits.
That's why I'm so cynical, because from reading all the stories about it, everybody's saying like he's got no chance. He's going to get brutalized by a proper barrister. He's got absolutely no chance. Why would he agree with it? And the fact that he has is what's feeding my cynicism. Like everybody's saying he's got no chance. He's a lunatic. So surely it's a stitch up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What is
like they always win.
Of evidence? What does that mean?
Preponderance. It's the bar's law, isn't it, for evidence? Like in a criminal court, you have to prove it beyond all reasonable doubt. But in civil court, it just has to be likely. So the bar's far lower. You know what I mean? That's why Meghan keep winning, don't they? They've won a few civil cases because the bar for evidence, it's way, way lower. Like proving slander as a criminal thing is really, really difficult. You have to prove there's like definite malign, malevolent intent. But if it's in a civil case, he just has to prove that they said something about it and it wasn't true. Like the bar's a lot lower in a civil case. I just think it's a stitch up. I think surely his lawyers would have told him that he's going to get cross-examined by a barrister. It's going to be art. So I just don't believe it would be happening if he wasn't controlling it.
The only other option that I see, if it's the barrister for the newspapers, has agreed only to ask him softball questions and sensitive questions in advance.
Stitching up. Maybe he's just used his considerable wealth to say to the newspapers, listen, you're going to get found against. It'll cost you a couple of million, but I'll give you 3 or 4 million. So you know what I mean? So it'll look better for him. Whatever it is, it'll be a stitch-up. That's what I think. I don't know whether it's him buying them, him bribing them, him paying off the lawyers, them agreeing to an agreement beforehand, or just the judiciary doing what they always do and shielding the powerful. But I don't see it. Sadly, Paula, I know we're all hoping that he'll get nailed to the wall, but I don't think he will.
Oh, that's so sad. That is so sad. I hope he doesn't, not because I hate him or anything. It's just that so many things he's done, so much harm he's caused. I really hate it for what he did to his grandmother. His grandfather died, and I really don't like him for. I feel, you know what? I dislike him more than I dislike Meghan Markle, because Meghan Markle was not related to the Queen. She was not related to Prince Philip. She's not related to Prince William or anybody. I really dislike him more than I disliking Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle is just that, she's just a D-list gang from my point of view. But
That's
Harry,
a hard one. That's a hard one.
Her behavior.
I think I hate him more than her.
Her behavior is skanky.
I see what your point is, though. Yeah, it's a tough one. Deciding whether or not which one of them you hate the most is like picking between syphilis and gonorrhea. But I think I hate her the most. It's an hard one. He's a treacherous dog, isn't he? Doing all that to his family.
Well, you have a family, Matt, and I'm sure we all have disagreements with our family, but I don't see you. You may, how many disagreements you have with your grandma, if your grandma is alive, I don't see you going on YouTube slagging off your grandma.
Oh no, my granny was class. Me and my brother never fell out with her. My brother never fell out with her, and she stabbed him twice. So it's just one of them things.
He probably deserved it.
He deserved it, yeah. She threw a steak knife at him from across the room and like stuck in his leg, I remember. But we had a great relationship. I just think that I stick up for him probably because I'm a little bit sexist, and I'm of the opinion that a weak-willed man can be infinitely malleable if an attractive woman gets a bee-stung lips around his parts. I think he's just a weak-willed loser, and she's the puppet master. But it's a good point, because my missus has said the same. She's like, I can't believe you blame it all on her. And I was like, he's just a weak-willed, stupid man who's been, Americans say pussy whipped, but he's basically been indoctrinated by. He wasn't even woke before he met Meghan Markle. He had no idea.
He was a hard smoking, hard partying guy who.
Yeah, he was a normal bloke.
And all kinds of shit.
Yeah, well, she got those well-practiced bee-stung lips around his big ginger cock, and all of a sudden she sucked every ounce of common sense out of him. Just like so.
That's what my friend said this morning. She said, you know what? He was doing pretty good until she came along. And I'm like, Marina, why do you say that? And she goes, because it's true. I mean, the worst you could see was when he got caught in Vegas. I mean, even here in Nicaragua, we know about that story. And even
he wasn't being woke. He wasn't being woke. He was dressed as Adolf. I mean, that's the anti-woke, isn't it?
No, he was smoking, drinking, partying with girls. He got caught with a hooker or something like that, or some girl, the naked pictures and everything, like. And I mean, that's the worst that people got. And even then, people were saying, "Oh, the cheeky prince got caught again."
I know.
Boys being boys,
Anyway, Paul, I'm gonna go because I'm hungry and I want to.
Me too. I have to go take a dip in the ocean. Thank you. I apologize to you for being an idiot. I promise the next one I won't be waking you up.
We're doing California time from now on, yeah? Then we'll.
Yes, California. I messed it up with Texas for some reason, but thanks for being here, guys. Go to Matt's channel. Angry Bootneck, and sign the hell up. Show him some love. I watch every morning his videos. I don't know why I'm not notified when you do your lives, and I have the notification bell on.
Oh yeah, well, it's because I've been shadow banned. Everybody knows that's a thing, don't they?
Really? That's why. Well, go show him love. It's Angry Bootneck. It's the little red thing you've been seeing the whole video. Go through there. So go. I
used to have a really good community tab. You know what I mean? And now nothing shows up.
That's why I'm not notified, because I do have the notification bell, and when I see, it's like, what? he went live 2 hours ago. Like, what
No,
the
they don't
hell?
show anyone. No, my community used to be class. I used to post things and I'd get like a
Mhm.
couple of thousand people interact with it. And now I post it. I don't think even my mum sees it. It's like nobody gets my messages anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, that's YouTube. But this is what I keep telling you. You got to make sure you don't come under the radar and say the wrong thing,
No,
or they'll
that's
get you.
I get letters all the time. I get emails all the time. So I have to redo my videos and redo my videos all the time. But thanks for being here, Matt.
Yeah.
Thanks for
All
being
right,
Matt.
we'll do it again soon, Paula.
Sunday, guys.
Have a good day. Cheers.
You too,
See you
sweetie.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.